We are going to be in Nehemiah chapter 2, and we are going to start in verse 9. Ready? Here's what we're doing today. Look at me. Here's what we're doing today. I'm going to help you discover your mission from God. Here's why this matters to you. You're like, I don't even know if I care about this. Here's why you should care. If you run a business, I'm going to teach you how to organize your business and why a mission matters. Why are you trying to make money? What's the product you're trying to get done? Whatever you do, if it's online business or a literal physical standing store. If you're a stay-at-home mom, I'm going to teach you how that it's important to have a mission for your home. Regardless if you're single, you're a student, I'm going to teach you about how to lay out the rest of your life. It'll reduce your anxiety when you know why you're living. It'll help you connect with others that feel the same way as you when you know where you're going. It'll help to decide who you're going to date because you know how you want your home to run. Literally, what I'm going to help you, it's a skip and a stone over the water of your life today, but I want to start this conversation in your mind because Nehemiah walks us through it. We're in Nehemiah 2, verse 9. Then I came to the governors of the province beyond the river, so this is the Euphrates River up by Babylon, and gave them the king's letters. Now the king, this is King Artaxerxes, the Persian king. Nehemiah is the cupbearer. He works for Artaxerxes. Artaxerxes is letting him leave as a Jew. He's letting him leave to go back to Jerusalem. So this is the journey of going there. Now the king had sent me with officers of the army and horsemen. So he has an armed guard. Verse 10, but when Sanballat, the Horonite, and Tobiah, the Ammonite servant, heard this, that he was coming, it displeased them, underline displeased them, greatly, that someone had come to seek the welfare of the people of Israel. So I went to Jerusalem, and I was there 3 days. Then I arose in the night, and a few men with me. Underline the rest of this sentence, then it's the next sentence. And I told no one what God had put into my heart to do for Jerusalem. If you have a physical Bible, next to that sentence, write the word vision. This is the overall vision that Nehemiah has for Jerusalem in his own heart. There was no animal with me but the one on which I rode. I went out by night by the valley gate to the dragon spring, then to the dung gate, and I inspected the walls of Jerusalem, underline walls of Jerusalem, that were broken down, and its gates of the walls had been destroyed by fire. Then I went out to the fountain gate, then to the king's pool, but there was no room for the animal that was under me to pass. Then I went up in the night by the valley and inspected the wall. And I turned back and entered by the valley gate, and so I returned. And the officials did not know where I had gone or what I was doing. And I had not yet told the Jews, the priests and the nobles, the officials, and the rest of who were to do the work. Right next to verse 16, write the word plan. There's a vision, there's a plan. Here we go. Now I'm going to work into mission. Verse 17, then I said to them, you see the trouble, circle trouble, we are in. How Jerusalem lies in ruins with its gates burned. Come, let us build, circle let us build, the wall of Jerusalem that we may no longer suffer derision. Circle suffer derision means shame. Right next to that verse, 17, write the word mission. There's 3 parts to Nehemiah's mission. He has a vision, he has a plan, and here's his mission. Verse 18, and then I told them of the hand of my God that had been upon me for good, underline for good, and also of the words that the king had spoken to me. And they said, let us rise up and build. Underline, let us rise up and build. And right next to that phrase, write the word team. So they strengthened their hands for the good work. But when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite servant and Geshem the Arab heard of it, they jeered at us, circle jeered, and despised us, circle despised, and said, what is this thing you are doing? Are you rebelling against the king? So he's threatening and gossiping about him to tell his boss, the king, that he's rebelling against him. So it's total gossip. Verse 20, then I replied to them, the God of heaven will make us prosper. Underline, make us prosper. And we, his servants, will arise and build. Underline, will arise and build. But you have no portion or right or claim in Jerusalem. Next to that verse, write the word resolve. I'm going to walk you through how to run your life right now, how to run your business. It's going to literally guide your decision making. In the notes, number one, here it is, discern the problem. Number one, discern the problem. Before you can figure out what to do, you have to figure out what that what is. Let me put it to you this way. You're a business owner. Norwegian. I walk into this valley and I go, you know what this valley needs? Is some Norwegian food. It needs some lutefisk. Lutefisk is sardines dyed in lye, which is soap, which is poison from a long time ago. So Norwegians, we eat poison. We call it a delicacy. Maybe your culture has some weird foodie things like that too. But if I'm a businessman, I go, I see a niche. I see a need in this community. And my passion is Norwegian food. And I know there's a bunch of Norwegians and Viking fans that would love to eat this food. I see a problem and I figure out, is this the problem I want to go pursue? So is this the thing I want to give my life to? Because here's the thing, we only have so much time in our lives. Literally, as I'm speaking, your life is winding down. So, because we have a limited amount of time, God is eternal, I'm not. I only have a certain amount of time to get whatever done, which is why I'm so passionate about you living out a purpose. I'm so passionate about you living for something more than just being popular or feeling good or your sex life or making more money or whatever. Like, your life has to be more than that. Because all that stuff has its place, but at the end of the day, it's emptiness. It's just chasing after things. It's like paper blowing in the wind. But if you have a mission and you know what you're going to give your time to, it better be worth it. So if I'm a businessman, I go, I got to make money. I find a niche. I find a problem. I find an area that I think that this valley needs, or that online I find something off of Amazon. I think I can make money off this thing. Whatever that is, you discover the problem. Nehemiah is going to go discover the problem. His problem is a massive problem, which is the whole city wall has been torn down by the Babylonians century before him. So now it's been laying around. They tore the whole wall, all the walls of the city down because they didn't want it to be rebuilt. They didn't want them to resettle there. And then they took a bunch of the people out of Jerusalem and took them up to the Babylonian area, which they took out all the young men, all the really promising, good-looking young men. They, like Daniel, Nehemiah is one of those guys who was actually born in Babylon. His parents were captured people in a subjugated people group. He's born in Babylon, has only made trips to Jerusalem in his life, but has never lived there. So God's going to put it on his heart, who's going to fix my city? And here's a guy working in another city, making a lot of money, which is what I talked about last week. If you didn't get the background of Nehemiah, watch it on YouTube or listen to it from last week's sermon. This week now, he's actually going to start making the journey. And he's going to figure out what the problem is. Here it is. After being allowed a leave of absence from his job by King Artaxerxes to go to Jerusalem, Nehemiah set out on a 900-mile journey from Susa, Babylon. Riding on horseback with traveling papers and an armed escort, Nehemiah prepared for what might be coming on his journey. So think about this. How many of you guys have ever gone 900 miles in your car with your kids in the van? You don't even leave Marietta before your kids are like, I'm bored. You literally have a $1,000 phone in your hand, and we have an infotainment system on the back of, this G-Wagon that I'm driving. So you're living in luxury, son, my 12-year-old son. Why are you bored 13 minutes after Marietta? Like, you live better than most kids have ever lived in the history of humanity, and you're already bored. Doesn't make any sense. And you've got 890 miles left. Well, think about it this way. What if you're riding on a horse? Nehemiah is riding on a horse in the desert for 900 miles. He's got a plan to make sure he doesn't die. So he sets out a plan before he can even get to his plan of fixing the city. Ready? Here we go. Sometimes the problem, before you discover the real problem, is that you failed to plan that your plan might not go to plan. Because sometimes we go, oh, there's a problem over here. But the thing is, we haven't planned out how we're going to get there. We haven't planned out the journey to it. So I know there's a problem. What you don't want to do is go, I'm just going to go with my feelings on this one. We live in a culture of like, I'm all up in my feelers about this thing. I'm just going to do it. Go for the wind. You know which is? That's how you die. That's how you go broke. Your feelings will deceive you, but planning will guide you. Nothing wrong with feelings, but when you start making life-altering decisions on your feelings, like, oh, he said he loves me. He can spell Jesus, that's why I'm marrying him. But does he actually love God? I don't know. But he gives me buttery fly things in my stomach. Listen. Some of you guys actually literally got married, I just realized, because of that. It doesn't matter what your feelings are, you have to plan out. Nehemiah could have been like, man, I'm just going to go for it. I don't care. I'm not going to plan out how I'm going to eat or how this horse is going to drink. I don't need any armed guards. I'm just doing God's work. Here we go. Nope, that's how you die. That's how you go broke. So Nehemiah says, before I even reach the real problem, the problems I'm going to encounter on the way, I better plan for that. Because you can guarantee this, even when you plan really well, some of your plans won't go to plan. But if you don't make a plan, you just end up in chaos. It's easier to have a plan and then morph it. COVID comes along. We better figure out what we're going to do. Than have no plan and go, I have no goal for the future. And then chaos happens and you're like, I'm totally lost. Here it is. Here's our first principle. Failing to plan is planning to fail. So this is a leadership principle. I say this to my staff and I say this to you. Don't waste your life. Plan your work, work your plan. Plan your work, work your plan. Plan your work, work your plan. When things go sideways, chaos happens, COVID happens, things go weird, you pivot, but you're not caught off guard because you've actually planned out as much as you could. Nehemiah doesn't die on the 900-mile journey because he actually planned. He got papers, so when he passed through other people's territory, now this is the kingdom of Persia. Artaxerxes rules the whole world, and Nehemiah is his cupbearer. So he gets papers from Artaxerxes, so when he passes through a region that's owned by Persia, but the regional leader doesn't know Nehemiah, he gives him papers from Artaxerxes saying, let this dude pass. So he's planned out his whole journey. And here's what the journey looked like. Well, not look like, but here's the way it laid out. We looked at pictures from Susa, Babylon. This is the modern day Iran and Iraq area. So Susa, Babylon's way over to the right over here. It's on the other side of the Euphrates River. So in the passage when it says, give me letters for governors on the other side of the river, he's talking about the big Euphrates because he's going to pass over it. You see he makes a big, huge loop to the north and around. And you're like, why didn't he just cut straight through? Because there's a massive desert there. Even in this day, that's like modern day Jordan, Syria. But 2,500 years ago, that was just a wasteland, literal wasteland. So he has to go 900 miles on a horse across a river with armed guards and papers. But there's not even a guarantee he's going to make it on his journey alive. There's robbers. There's people that, wait in the shadows to kill you, because who's going to find them once they kill you and take your horse and take your money, and they're gone. There's no police department, there's no Wi-Fi, there ain't nothing. But he planned out this whole journey because he wanted to make sure it gave him the best chance of reaching Jerusalem. Arriving in Jerusalem, he took 3 days to recover, then waited until the night to privately and personally assess the wall damage. So what's interesting about this is he even tells us, I took 3 days. After 900 miles on a horse, I was like, oh my God. It's funny he even mentioned that. He goes, I took 3 days. My spleen is beat to shreds. And he goes, after 3 days, I kind of worked the kinks out. And then I privately and personally at nighttime assessed all the damage. He got a lay of the land. In your business, it's like, can I make this business idea of mine even work online or in a brick and mortar? In your personal life, you think about like, man, my marriage is really struggling. What are the steps I have to take to reconnect with my wife or my husband? This literally bleeds into every part of your life. Plan. When you plan to succeed, chances are you'll succeed. If you go with your feelings, chances are you will fail. Because there's no way forward when hardship happens. Because your feelings are gone. The plan helps you get through the hard times when your feelings fail you. I can guarantee you on that 900-mile journey, there were times Nehemiah goes, dude, this bites. I want to go back home to the palace and chill. But nope. He went beyond his feelings, and even his body was broken down by the end of this journey. But he took 3 days to recover, and he goes, okay, let's get to work. And he started to look around all of the city. Number one, discern the problem. Number two, provide the solution. Number one, discern the problem. And number two, provide the solution. So here's what Jerusalem may have looked like 500 BC. So here's an artist rendition. It was a pretty small city. It wasn't very big. So you see, this would have been Solomon's temple way up there in the middle of the city. And so before it was torn down by the Babylonians. So that was Solomon's city, or Solomon's temple. This would have been the city size-wise that Nehemiah would have been seeing as he came up to it. The Kidron Valley is on the right-hand side of this picture. That's where Jesus crossed over. The Mount of Olives is up to the right, up this steep slope to the right of the picture. The left-hand side, that valley there is called the Central Valley. 2,000 years later, it's all been filled in. But back in Nehemiah's day, it would have looked a lot like this. The Babylonians tore down all these walls. So imagine him walking around at night. They just ripped out all these walls, and the work is just huge. It's just massive to try to get all this stuff done. Here's what it looks like on Google Maps. When we go there to our Israel trip, we will walk around in all of this area in July. And so this is Nehemiah's same city size laid out on Google Maps. Jerusalem is obviously in the modern day much bigger, but the Kidron Valley is to the right, same valley. Central Valley has been filled in to the left right there. But it was a huge workload for one guy as he's seeing the amount of work that needs to be done. Seeing the extent of the challenge, he gathered the Jewish financial and social gatekeepers locally and told them what God had put in his heart. Describing the problem and the plan to fix it, Nehemiah gave them the what, which is our walls are broken down, the way, we're going to rebuild the wall, and here's how we're going to do it, and the why, which is we are in derision, which the Hebrew word there, look at verse 17. Look at verse 17. This is the mission. The vision for Nehemiah is in end of verse 12. I told no one what God had put on my heart to fix the walls. The vision is, let's fix these walls so all the Jews can come home from Babylon. But how do I do it? That's the mission. The mission's 3 parts. We are in trouble. We don't have any walls. Nobody can protect us. People can literally walk right into our city, which is the whole point of Babylon tearing their walls down. So that's the problem. Let us build, in verse 17. Come, let us build. That's the solution. Let's build it. This is the mission. Why? So we don't suffer shame. We are in shame as a people group. We don't even have our own city. Why has nobody built these walls? Why am I the one building? I wasn't even born here. But God has tasked me with it. He has a vision, he has a mission, and the mission has 3 parts. There's trouble, let's rebuild, let's stop living in shame. That's the why. So we don't have to live in shame anymore. And guess what? Look at me. The why in your mission is the strongest driver. If you have a business, it can't just be, we're going to make a boatload of money. Because people are motivated a little bit by money, but you know what people are motivated by the most is mission. We're going to make the best burgers in the world. And if it's In-N-Out, we're going to feed the pastor of the orchard right here in the parking lot. Like, that's our mission. We're going to make the best whatever's in the world or in this valley or whatever. If you're a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home wife, whatever, like, my home's going to run the best it possibly can because God has given me the mission of motherhood to stay home and run my home well. So when people walk in my home, they don't see chaos. I do the best I can with what God's given me in my apartment or my vineyard home or whatever you've got. The point is this: a mission motivates. Money is just a byproduct of having a great mission. It's the difference between going to a restaurant, a fast food restaurant, and it's totally janky and nobody wants to work there, and then you go to like Chick-fil-A. And the workers there are like, oh my gosh, you're here for chicken. We're so happy. And you're like, dude, why are you so happy about chicken? Because we have the best chicken. Give me a C. And you're like, dude, this is like there's 1,000 chicken places. Why are you so nice? Because Chick-fil-A has a different model. Same thing with In-N-Out. You walk in In-N-Out and it's like super clean and it's like, it's great. And they serve like 3 things. I'll have 1 or 2 or 3. It's like, that's a failure of a business model. Like, have some variety. Nope. You get to choose if you get onions or not. But people want to work there because it has a different mission. And people, you buy into mission, money's just a side product of good mission as a business. So think about that if you're a business owner. Are your employees motivated with your business? Because what you want to do is make sure everybody's rowing the same way. And when everybody's rowing the same way, you get to your destination. You fix the problem. You get to where you're going. If everybody's doing a different thing and everybody's rowing a different way, it's just chaos. So mission matters. That's what Nehemiah is doing here. It's literally a lesson from God. God is not a God of chaos, and he's not a God of feelings. He's a God of order. He's a God of planning. And when things happen that you and I didn't plan for, you can pivot because you planned well. Look at this. Provide the solution. Here's how you get to doing the solution to the problem. Buy-in is critical to success. You have to get the buy-in of your family. You have to get the buy-in of your employees. You have to get the buy-in of your wife in your marriage. Listen, you have to get buy-in. You have to create buy-in from people. You describe the problem. I have the solution. Are you with me? That's literally what you do when you go on a job interview. Job interviews are designed to go, do you even fit in here? Because this is what our company's about. I don't know if you're the right fit. Because chemistry is more important than competence. You can have somebody that's really competent and they'll blow up your staff because they're not rowing with you. They're rowing against you. So, we have a mission. Come join our mission. Our problem is this. We want you to help us be a part of the solution. Make more money, make the best burger. If it's you and your wife, you guys need to sit down and go, let's not get divorced. Let's figure it out. Let's have a hard conversation because I want us to be on the same team as your husband, as your wife, whatever it is. Let's talk about it. So we row the same way rather than a husband and wife rowing against each other and then the kids are like, what the heck are we doing as a family? Because ready, your family is a team. You created some team members you might not want, but husband and wife, hey, the smallest nucleus of a team is a husband and wife. Even if you don't have kids, you are a 2-person team. I don't even know why I'm doing this when I talk about a 2-person team. You and your husband, as a wife, you're a team. You create babies and you build your little team. But guess what? The reason that homes are in chaos is because they don't even have their own mission. What are we trying to do? Just exist? No, we want to serve God as a family. We come to church as a family. We go on vacations as a family. We do things as a family. And when my son first started dating, we dated as a family, which he loved. I didn't let him just hook up with some hoochie wherever she was at. Heck no. That's what I told him. I go, What's her family like? She goes, I'm checking out XYZ or whatever. And I'm like, let me see her. And he's like, here's my family. I'm going to show my dad. Right? And I go, here's what we're going to do. Because he was younger. And so I said, we are going to date as a family. I want to get to know her family. She get to know ours. And we're not going to let you guys go make out in the back of a theater where I'm not going to drop you off and you're going to go run off and do whatever. We're going to be together as a family when you're younger. Because it keeps you out of trouble and it lets the other people know that our family's invested in my son's future. What we've done is by the time our kids are 12, 13, 14 years old, they already have their own phone. They're going wherever they want. They're surfing porn and hooking up with whoever's whatever. And parents are like, my kid's the best. Because you didn't have a mission for your home. You just let things go willy-nilly all over the place. Listen, where there's not a plan, there's chaos. And Nehemiah is going to show us the way forward. Get a vision. We want our family to be the best it can for Jesus, and then have a mission. Here's the things we want to get done for God. We're going to go to church every Sunday when we're in town. We're not going to miss one time. We're going to join a church. We're not going to bounce around from church to church. We're going to land somewhere and invest our lives for the glory of God. And then little Johnny sees dad helping out doing something. He goes, oh, that's what men do. And then daughter sees mom helping out in children's ministry. Goes, we're not just living for ourselves. We're trying to help other people. You don't do those things. Your kids just grew up thinking, oh, I guess we're all about money or vacations or whatever. And not that any of those things are bad, but the point is this: you got to have a mission that goes beyond just making more money. Invest your life. And Nehemiah is going to do that right here. You have to get buy-in. Here's what we do at the church. Here's our vision. In case you didn't know. Actually, you'll find out this in the Discover the Orchard class too. Here's our vision, in case you didn't know what it is. To join God in reaching the 500,000 people in our area in a 15-minute drive. Some of you guys drew further than 15 minutes. I just talked to people from San Diego this morning after first service, all the way from the other side of Corona. People are driving like an hour just to get here because of what God is doing. They're literally passing by hundreds of churches to get here because they sense God doing something here, which is awesome and also sad. But we're going to try to reach the 500,000 people that are within a 15 minutes. And that's being pretty conservative. People in our area and those around the world. We reach people all around the world. We had people from, Zimbabwe or Uganda watching our service last week with the gospel, which is the good news of Jesus, that he transforms lives when people repent of their sin and come to know him through the Great Commandment. Great Commandment is love the Lord your God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. And the Great Commission, which is go into all the world and preach the gospel, teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you and baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So that's why we live. This is our umbrella. This is when Nehemiah showed up to Jerusalem. We got to fix these walls. Why? Because we want all the Jews to come home to a home that is secure. But we don't know how to get that done. How do I get this done? This is our mission. You see it every week. It's on the front of this drum head. It's inside your bulletin. It's probably tattooed to your body somewhere. This is E3. We engage with love. We want you to feel love. When you walk through that door, I want you to feel loved. I don't want you to feel bad about coming to church. I want you to show up here and go, man, I can breathe. I can bring my family here. We feed you a crack load of caffeine and sugar, give you coffee and donut holes, and Jesus, what else do you need? So we engage with love. We want to engage our culture with love. We equip with truth, which means I'm teaching you the Bible. I don't teach you self-help books. I don't teach you random things that I want to talk about or some sermon that has a bunch of Bible verses pasted all over it and call it a lesson. Like, we teach scripture. We equip with truth and we empower with faith. The empower with faith is this: you come join our family. Stop bouncing around our valley. Make this your home. Join the family officially and use your gift for God's glory. That's what it means to empower with faith. These are the E3. This is our mission. This is how we get our vision done. One person's excited. Okay, good. Here we go. Now, I want you to see, ready? This is literally what you can do with your family. You can do this with your business. We have one for our church. God is blessing our church like I've never even seen it happen anywhere. And it's humbling to watch God work. But it's because we are so organized and we plan everything out. And when God makes us pivot, We've already planned everything, so we pivot and go over here. When God brings COVID into the world, we just go outside and put up a circus tent. We don't stop worshiping Jesus. Ready? Leads us to number 3. This is the best one. Expect the objection. Expect the objection. I don't know if any of you guys have ever went to or owned a restaurant. But let's just say you're a restaurant owner in our valley and you do your best. You try to hire the best waitresses and waiters. You try to make the best burritos you can. You put all of your money and your time. You're there till 2 a.m. making that thing happen. And you see on your email, you've gotten a Yelp review. You're like, oh, I'm sure it's something encouraging. Why are you laughing? Because you know where I'm going. And you read your Yelp review, and it's like, oh, I totally used to like this place, but the quality's really gone downhill in the last 7 months since COVID. I showed up, the burrito it wasn't quite folded correctly. I think they might have had somebody new behind the counter. So I don't really like my burrito folded left to right. I like it right to left, so that as I eat it, everything kind of stays together because I'm left-handed. And so I just really was disappointed. I would usually give it a 5, but I'm going to give it a 1 this time because I had my Coke, and usually they fill it with ice, which is what I usually like, but they only filled it halfway this time. I'm kind of thinking they're trying to rip me off because I paid $3.50 for the whole meal. And every time I go out to eat, I want it to be an experience. And so now other people looking at the Yelp, they go, wow, this place is really going downhill. What a pile of garbage. And you as the restaurant owner, you're like, dude, I literally feed my family, and somebody has to give a Yelp review like that. Like, who cares? Like, you're so bored, you have to make a negative comment about a restaurant. Like, you're that bored. I'm going to tell somebody right now about the burritos and the ice. We live in this weird, hyper, negative, critical world. Ready? I'm gonna help you get past that. Live your life grateful to God. Gratefulness will keep you from being critical. The reason I tell you that is this. Gratefulness, like, wow, that burrito was folded the wrong way. Thanks God I get to eat this burrito. That will change the way you think about somebody else's mission, which is for them, it's like keeping their family alive, putting the best burritos out, whatever it is. For Nehemiah, he walks in, he gets objections all over the place. You want to talk about a Yelp review? Sanballat and Tobiah, they're the regional leaders. And imagine Nehemiah, you've just done 900 miles and you finally get there and you're like, oh, I'm finally here. And you go around the city and go, man, this place is trashed. We got to fix it. You gather some of the people together and go, man, we got to fix this thing. I have a solution. 2 guys that are regional leaders show up and they go, we oppose you. We're not going to let you build this wall. You think, I'm on a mission for God. This isn't burritos that somebody's reviewing. Like literally God told me to go to Jerusalem. It's on my heart to go do it. God said it here. He put the hand of God is on this man. And you would think God's just going to plow the way. Everybody magically put the wall up. Do a little dance. This is great. Everybody loves us. Nope, 2 of the main leaders go, we're going to gossip and slander you behind your back. We're going to write a letter back to the king, tell him you're trying to rebel against him. Literally, their gossip and slander could cost Nehemiah's life. So here's the point. Even when you're doing God's work, expect objections. Expect pushback even when you're doing God's stuff. It'll help you from getting super depressed. Expect objections, expect pushback, and work through it by the power of God. Why? Because you know where you're going. You have a mission. So go do that mission. You don't let anybody get in your way. You walk right through objections when you know your mission's from God. Here it is. Expect the objection. Hearing his plan, Regional Samaritan leaders, Sanballat and Tobiah, tried to undermine and discourage his work out of jealousy or not having them having a lack of control with what was going on. They tried to poison his mission by gossip, slander, verbal attacks, and 2,500 year ago Yelp reviews. Ready? Here we go. There is no such thing as progress without risk or hardship. Your marriage is only going to get better when you have tough conversations. You got to have them. You can't just go, everything will be fine. That's how you get divorced. Have hard conversations about your sex life, about flirting around too much, about you spend too much money on Amazon or at In-N-Out buying stuff for the pastor. Like, we got to have tough conversations. That's how you do that. There's a problem. Don't just go, la, 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 the walls are falling down, we're going to call it good. Nope. The walls won't rebuild themselves. God says, you go fix it. Go, go, go. And you have those tough conversations. There will be objections. People will try to keep you from having your marriage stay together. Don't stay with him, or you've been flirting around with some other person. They're like, just leave that person. Leave your husband. Nope. You cut off all objections to get the mission of God done in your marriage, which is let's keep our marriage together. What's true in a marriage is true in a business, is true in a country. When you don't have a clear mission, everybody's in chaos. In your home, in a nation, in a church, expect objections and work through them because you have a mission. And if it's godly, you don't let anybody stop you. Here's our principle. Progress is built from the stones of objections. Your progress in your life is literally built from the stones of objections. Let me give it, Jan, can you make the upper shades go up just a little bit? She doesn't know I'm doing this. I'm going to show you guys something. Make the shades go up just a little bit. Because it's something nobody's probably ever seen. So, what you probably have never seen before, can you make them all go up? Oh, yeah. What you probably have never seen before, and if you're not in the sanctuary, you probably can't see this, but there's a whole glass atrium above us. It's huge. This place was originally built. This used to be a furniture store. I want you to see these 3 huge beams. There's 3 massive beams that go across this place. And you probably have never seen them before because you've never seen the light up in the ceiling. So if you're watching online or you're outside, we're talking about the beams that are here. Here's the reason I'm showing you these beams. This is a lesson in this church. We had a mission from God, which is this. We are going to go give people the gospel. And we were in a small little dinky church I affectionately call the Wiener Schnitzel in Temecula. Okay, some of you guys don't even know what that is. You're like, I didn't even know. Yeah, it's the first time I'm here. Awesome. We've only been here 4 months, and we're already exploding here. Here's the thing. Before we got here, I knew that God wanted us in this building. I asked the city, would it be okay if we landed here? They're like, yeah, there's no problem having a church in this, furniture row. I asked the owners of this complex, the whole place, the center, hey, is there any problem with having a church here? They're like, no, it shouldn't be a problem at all. So these are unsaved people in the city, business people in this complex. We asked the business owners, would you mind if we're here? The Metroflex Gym. No, I think you guys would be awesome here. Let's have some life in this area. And you guys are probably doing an awesome job making a beautiful building. I go, awesome, sweet. So I knew God was with us. He's opened all these doors. Here's the thing. There was 6 posts holding up this roof, which I didn't want to make a sanctuary with 6 posts in the middle of it. So we ordered this steel 6 months before we knew we could even be in here as a church. We hadn't had our public hearing yet. Technically and legally, we didn't know we could come here. We spent $100,000 having these support beams manufactured in the Midwest. Before we even knew we could be in here, we hadn't even swung a hammer yet. Already spent money, and the architect, which is sitting in the second row, I'm seeing his face right now. He's like, that's all true story. Because we're like, this is God's mission. He gave us a home. He gave us this beautiful home right on the freeway. We have In-N-Out in our parking lot. Praise God. What's better than this? Unsaved people that don't even love Jesus are like, we're glad you're here. You can go ahead and close them now. The only objection we got was from Christians. True story. I'm holding in my hand a letter from Christians. They sent a it's this public letter, so that's why I'm talking about it publicly. They sent a certified letter to me at the church when we were over there saying, don't come here. You guys will wreck this center. Don't come in here. The parking will be atrocious. It'll be horrible. You'll wreck everything we're trying to get done. Don't come here. Certified letter. So it wasn't only to us, they sent this letter to the city of Marietta saying, don't let them come in here. Deny their request to get a building permit to have a church here. They sent this letter also to the center owners that own this thing saying, don't let them come in here, they'll wreck the businesses. Of all the pushback, of all the opposition to God, it was God's people that said, don't let them come in here. And the reason I tell you that is this. There will be times opposition will come out of left field and you go, I can't even believe that happened. Why would somebody do that? Why would Christians who are on the same team push back against the blessing of God? You know the reason we have to have sandwich boards from the freeway showing you how to park is because of this. We spent thousands of dollars and our architect came up with a plan of how to access this place so we would be good neighbors. We spent out of our own money and goodwill because we love everyone, even the people that opposed us, to make sure they were taken care of, and we routed everybody away from their situation because we love them, because we love everybody, even when we're opposed. Because here's the thing, we are on mission for God. And when you follow God, even when you get opposition that you like, I'm totally surprised, understand that when you plan to succeed for God, God gets your back. And you are literally sitting in the blessing of God today. So ready, here it is. Ready? Progress is built from the back of objections. You know what was scary? Is when we bought these beams and we didn't even know if we were going to get to be in here. Some of you guys were at the public meeting that we had in the Marietta Town Hall. It was the most people they've ever had in the town hall. And everybody was like, let's do this. And everybody on the town board was like, I can't even believe you guys packed the house. We had to bring chairs in because we had so much support from the people. And you know what? When we put these beams in, we had to put them together in this room. We had to get a crane, cut holes in the roof, and snatch them from the parking lot and lift them up in here to hold this roof up. We had a goal and a mission that we didn't even know was going to get to be accomplished by people who were pushing back that I didn't even plan for, but we knew we were following God, and God got our back. We got approvals all the way through. Everybody in this center loves this church. And we love everybody in this center because we know we are blessed by God. And that keeps us from stopping because of opposition. Which lastly leads us to number 3. Here it is. Number 1, discern the problem. Number 2, provide the solution. Number 3, expect the objection. Expect pushback when you do something for God. And lastly, number 4, build the team. Build the team. When you know the way forward, build the team. Despite objections, Nehemiah built a core team of men who believed the mission and gave their lives to rise up and build. Here's our principle. The greater the cause, the deeper the buy-in. Hey, the greater the cause, the deeper the buy-in. People are not motivated because you want to make more money for your company. But guess what? If your company's trying to do good in the world and they can feed their family, you'll be amazed how people buy in. They're like, I love working here because we're doing good for our community and it feeds my family like the best of all worlds. Your mission has to be so that people want to join your team, so that everybody rows the same way because your mission, especially when you're doing God's work, is blessed by God. Knowing God's hand was with Nehemiah, his team was strengthened to do the work that was left undone by others. A clear mission fuels teamwork and minimizes sideways energy. Listen, look at me, I'm done. You need to come up with a mission for your life. Students, teenagers, single people, all the single ladies. Listen to what I'm saying. Your mission has to be more than I want to get married. Your mission has to be more than I want to make money. Your mission has to be something godly. Build your life around the mission of God. Might marriage be included? Sure. Might babies be included? Sure. Might making a lot of money and being a YouTube superstar be in God's plan for you? Sure. Awesome. Good. Here's the point I'm making is this. The end result is, let me do something great for God. And then God does the great thing behind you. And then people want to join you. You're doing great things. People want to get on your team when they see you doing great things for God. It's greater than me and you. Mission motivates. Not everybody's going to want to join your team, but there will be some that do. And those are people you do life with. I want you to understand. Continue to come back to your vision, because vision leaks. Your vision will leak. Continue to come back to your vision. Continue to plug the holes by reiterating the mission. Always come back to it. We hit E3 all the time. After this class or after this service, when you go to the Discover the Church class, we hammer this. This is why we want you to be on the team. Come join the team. Stop surfing around on the internet for a church. Stop bouncing around to every church in the world. Come land here. Be a part of the family. Get connected. Do life with people that love you. Do life with people that love Jesus. It's a mission. And God will bless your life. God will bless your life when you do things that God blesses, which is a mission for Him.